The war between Ukraine and Russia has been marked by countless acts of tragedy. Russian forces have been committing war crimes, including killing Ukrainian prisoners of war. One such event was when Russian Marines executed 2 Ukrainian TDF, or the Territorial Defense Forces fighters. This act caused outrage and led to a strong response from Ukraine's Special Operations Forces, aka the SOF. In a surprising and jaw-dropping operation, Ukraine's special forces found and eliminated the Russian group responsible for killing Ukrainian prisoners. The highly trained special forces tracked down the Russians who had harmed their fellow Ukrainians. This action shows Ukraine's ability to respond to threats and protect its people, even in difficult wartime situations. This wasn't just about getting revenge, though. It was a carefully planned move in a larger strategy to weaken Russia's ability to fight and change the course of the war. This secret mission, carried out on January 17, 2024, showed incredible precision and determination. The SOF carefully planned every detail of the operation. Their goal wasn't only to eliminate the people who committed the war crime, but also to send a clear message to Russia. Ukraine will not allow such crimes to go unpunished. Building on the success of this targeted operation, Ukraine's continued focus on high-value targets is further escalating the pressure on Russia's military and challenging the perception of the war's boundaries. On the 4th of February 2025, over 1,000 Russian soldiers and 52 pieces of artillery were neutralized in just 24 hours. The constant pressure on Russian forces grows with significant actions, like the elimination of key Russian and North Korean officers in the Kursk region. Ukraine's military strength is clear both on the battlefield and through its strategic airstrikes. These attacks have severely impacted Russian energy infrastructure, hitting oil refineries and depots deep in Russia. These attacks aim to disrupt Russian logistics and sabotage military production. They also send a clear message to the Russian people. The war is spreading beyond Ukraine's borders. With each strike, Ukraine is changing views on the conflict. It shows that Russia's red lines can be crossed. Also, Ukraine is setting the stage for peace talks that could end the war on its own terms. In early January 2025, Russian Marines from the 40th Arctic Brigade captured 2 Ukrainian TDF fighters during a skirmish in one of the operational areas. Instead of treating them as prisoners of war under international law, the Russian soldiers carried out a brutal execution. The Ukrainian soldiers, unarmed and defenseless, were shot dead in cold blood. Following this war crime, additional details from captured Russian soldiers have revealed the brutal actions of Russia's military, showing a clear disregard for international law. The captured Russian Marines revealed chilling details about the incident. They admitted that after capturing the 2 TDF fighters, they reported the situation to their company commander. The commander, without hesitation, ordered the executions over the radio. The Ukrainian POWs, realizing their fate, attempted to escape, but Russian soldiers with the call sign Yari, Lebed, Boom, and Bili opened fire, killing them on the spot. This blatant violation of the Geneva Conventions shocked the world and underscored the brutality of Russia's tactics. The execution of these 2 TDF fighters was not an isolated incident. According to Dmytro Lubinets, Ukraine's Parliamentary Human Rights Commissioner, 2024 saw a dramatic rise in the killing of Ukrainian POWs by Russian forces. Out of 177 verified killings, 109 occurred in 2024 alone, a near doubling compared to the previous 2 years of full-scale war. Don't forget to like and share to expose Russia's war crimes. Your engagement shines a light on Ukraine's fight for justice and boosts the spreading of the truth. The United Nations Human Rights Monitoring Mission in Ukraine also documented an alarming rise in such executions. Since August 2024, the mission recorded 79 killings in 24 separate incidents. These crimes happened where Russian attacks were ongoing, They showed a clear pattern of war crimes that needed urgent international attention. Danielle Bell, head of the UN mission, noted that some Russian officials had explicitly called for the inhumane treatment and killing of captured Ukrainian soldiers. This rhetoric, combined with the actions on the ground, painted a grim picture of Russia's disregard for international law. Ukraine's Special Operations Forces were determined to hold the perpetrators accountable. The killing of the 2 TDF fighters was a tragedy for their families and the nation. The SOF committed to bringing justice for the fallen soldiers. The operation to neutralize the Russian execution squad was meticulously planned. Military intelligence teams gathered information about Russian Marines. They found out where the Marines were, how many there were, and how they moved during the killings. The SOF carefully studied the area. They identified possible escape routes and prepared for different situations that might happen. The mission had 2 main goals: to stop the people who carried out the executions and to bring back the bodies of the Ukrainian soldiers who had died. On the 17th of January, 2025, the SOF launched their operation. Under the cover of darkness, a team of highly trained operators infiltrated the area where the Russian Marines were stationed. The element of surprise was crucial. The operation began with a swift and coordinated assault. Ukrainian forces engaged the Russian Marines in a fierce firefight. The SOF's precision and discipline quickly turned the tide in their favor. Part of the Russian execution squad was eliminated on the spot, while the remaining members, realizing they were outmatched, surrendered. The SOF also recovered the bodies of the 2 TDF fighters, ensuring they could be returned to their families for a proper burial. Under interrogation, one of the captured Russian Marines pictured here admitted to the crimes. This confession was a critical piece of evidence, further exposing the systemic nature of Russia's war crimes. It also provided closure for the families of the fallen soldiers, who could now know the truth about what had happened to their loved ones. The success of this operation had a symbolic and strategic significance. For Ukrainian forces, it was a morale booster, a reminder that they could strike back against even the most brutal adversaries. It also served as a warning to Russian troops. Those who commit war crimes will be hunted down and held accountable. The operation showed the world that we need new laws and tools to hold Russia accountable for its actions. Ukraine's foreign minister, Andriy Sybiha, highlighted this, saying, "Russia's horrific killings of Ukrainian POWs show that Ukraine faces real beasts. From the beginning of the year, Ukraine put a smart plan into action to weaken Russia's ability to fight the war. This plan targeted important parts of Russia's army, including key areas, fighting units, and supply lines. Ukraine's approach had many parts to it, and it didn't just change how the war was going. It also showed where Russia's army was weak. 2 big parts of this plan were really important. First, the battle for control of the Pokrovsk area. Secondly, the precise attacks carried out by the SOF. Put together, these efforts make it harder for Russia to keep fighting the war. They have also shown how tough Ukraine was and how clever they were in their battle tactics. Ukraine's actions proved that they could outsmart and outfight their larger enemy, even with fewer resources. The Pokrovsk sector has emerged as one of the most intense and strategically significant battlegrounds of the war. Ukrainian forces dealt a big blow to Russia's attack plans by taking out 15,000 Russian soldiers in this area in just 1 month. Ukraine's top military leader, Oleksandr Syrskyi, says their current defense operations are meant to weaken Russian backup forces and groups. This makes it harder for the enemy to launch successful attacks. The fighting in the Pokrovsk area is really intense. On average, Ukrainian forces have been in over 100 battles per day. They often stop Russian attacks, causing many Russian losses. In just 1 day, Ukrainian forces took out 1,320 Russian soldiers and destroyed many of their armored vehicles. This has really slowed down Russia's attack. Ukraine has been able to defend Pokrovsk so well because they use artillery, drone strikes, and precise weapons effectively. They target Russian supply trucks, places where ammunition is stored, and where Russian leaders are based. This has made it hard for Russia to send more soldiers and supplies to their front lines. As a result, Russian troops have to fight with fewer resources, which makes them less effective in battle. The Pokrovsk sector plays a crucial role in disrupting Russia's broader war strategy. By denying Russia a breakthrough in this region, Ukraine has prevented Russian forces from encircling key cities and has stretched their supply lines thin. This has not only slowed Russia's advance, but also created logistical challenges that have further strained their war effort. Big fights are going on in the Pokrovsk area. Meanwhile, the SOF is launching precise attacks on key Russian army units. These highly trained soldiers are experts at doing quick raids, surprise attacks, and carefully planned strikes. Their actions disrupt the enemy's plans and make Russian soldiers afraid. One significant SOF operation was in the Kursk region. Ukrainian forces successfully attacked and destroyed a group of Russian Marines. Soldiers from Ukraine's 73rd Special Operations Center, along with the 6th Ranger Regiment, snuck into Russian positions and fought the enemy in a fierce battle. By the end of the operation, 17 Russian Marines had been killed and 12 more were captured. This raid was done with great skill. SOF operators moved without being seen through enemy territory, using advanced hiding techniques and night vision equipment. The surprise attack was quick and deadly, leaving the Russian group with no time to react. The success of this operation not only took out an important enemy unit, but also showed that Ukraine could attack deep behind enemy lines. Beyond direct fights, Ukrainian special forces have focused on weakening Russia's logistics network. SOF units have set up surprise attacks along key roads, destroying trucks carrying ammunition, fuel, and extra soldiers. These attacks weaken the Russians' ability to fight effectively. For example, in one operation, the Ukrainian SOF targeted a Russian supply convoy carrying fuel to frontline units. Drones scouted the area and targeted the convoy with precision weapons. This action left Russian troops without essential resources. Such operations have had a snowball effect, making it difficult for Russia to keep up its attacks. The effectiveness of Ukraine's special forces extends beyond physical damage. The constant threat of SOF raids has created a psychological toll on Russian troops. Ukrainian operators can strike anytime, even far behind enemy lines. This has hurt morale among Russian forces. Reports show that some Russian soldiers are becoming afraid to advance. They worry about surprise attacks, especially at night. This mind game is making it harder for Russia to keep its army organized and well-behaved. The fear of being attacked by Ukraine's special forces has forced Russian leaders to use more resources to protect their supply routes and command centers. Ukraine's special forces have leveraged advanced technology to maintain their operational edge. They frequently use weapon silencers, thermal imaging optics, and drone reconnaissance to execute stealth operations with minimal risk. One notable advancement has been the use of M712 Copperhead laser-guided projectiles, first tested in the Kursk region in mid-2024. These precision-guided munitions have proven highly effective in eliminating Russian command posts and high-value targets. Along with frontline operations, Ukraine has launched missile strikes. These strikes hit crucial Russian command centers. One of the most impactful attacks occurred on the 3rd of February, 2025, when Ukraine launched a strike on a Russian command post in Kursk Oblast. Ukraine's general staff reported that a military operation struck a Russian command post, killing many Russian officers. The attack happened near the village of Novoivanovka in Kursk Oblast. Reports say that the attack used both missiles and artillery. This combination of weapons was very effective. It caused major problems for the Russian army in the area. The attack made it hard for Russian forces to work together and communicate. It also hurt their leadership by killing important officers. This operation was a big setback for the Russian military. It weakened their ability to control their forces in that region. This change in tactics, shown by the February 3rd strike, is part of a bigger shift in Ukraine's approach to the war. Ukraine is now focusing on using drones to attack targets far inside Russia. These attacks are carried out by a special group called the 14th Unmanned Aerial Systems Regiment. This group is good at long-distance attacks. A battalion commander from this regiment explained their goal. We want to hit important places far behind enemy lines. We're targeting places where they store weapons and supplies. This helps reduce the pressure our soldiers face on the front lines. By attacking these targets, Ukraine is trying to make it difficult for Russia to keep its war effort going. This new strategy shows that Ukraine is taking bolder steps to defend itself and push back against the invasion. Ukraine's capacity to hit targets deep in Russia has increased a lot. This change comes from the quick advancements in long-range drones and missiles. These advancements have allowed Ukraine to launch precision attacks on critical Russian infrastructure, including oil depots, gas processing plants, and military logistics hubs. Since 2022, Ukraine has invested heavily in domestic drone and missile production. By early January 2025, Ukrainian officials claim to have drone models capable of reaching targets up to 2,000 kilometers inside Russia. Ukraine's airstrike campaign mainly targets Russia's energy sector. This sector is vital for Russia's war economy. By attacking oil and gas facilities, Ukraine hopes to reduce Russia's income and military funding. Ukraine has been using more airstrikes to damage Russia's energy infrastructure, especially oil refineries and gas processing plants. One of the main targets has been the Volgograd oil refinery in southern Russia, which has been struck multiple times. This refinery is run by a company called Lukoil and is one of the largest in the area. Ukrainian drones have hit it multiple times, causing fires and stopping fuel production. This refinery is important because it processes about 300,000 barrels of oil every day. By attacking these facilities, Ukraine hopes to make it harder for Russia to sell energy to other countries and to fuel its own military operations. This strategy is part of Ukraine's effort to weaken Russia's ability to continue the war. Ukraine has been attacking important oil and gas facilities in Russia. These attacks are hurting Russia's ability to make fuel and keep its war going. Here are some examples. The Albashneft oil facility in Novominskaya in southwestern Russia was badly damaged. The Ryazan oil refinery, owned by a company called Rosneft, was also hit. Ukrainian drones set this place on fire, and it had to stop working too. This refinery could make 350,000 barrels of oil products every day and was responsible for 5.8% of all the oil Russia processes. Losing this refinery makes it even harder for Russia to make fuel. The Andriapol oil pumping station was also attacked. This station is important because it helps move oil through pipelines to ports on the Baltic Sea, where it can be shipped to other countries. The attack caused fires and oil spills, which stopped Russia from being able to send oil to these ports. All of these attacks show that Ukraine is getting better at hitting targets deep inside Russia. These targeted attacks on Russia's oil and gas infrastructure reflect a broader strategy by Ukraine to cripple Russia's war effort, not only in the present, but also in the long term. By attacking these oil and gas facilities, Ukraine is trying to do three main things: make it harder for Russia to move fuel around. If Russia can't easily get fuel to its army vehicles and equipment, it's harder for them to fight effectively. Reduce Russia's money from selling oil. Russia makes a lot of money by selling oil to other countries. If it can't produce or ship as much oil, it has less money to spend on the war. Slow down Russia's ability to make military equipment. Many of these facilities provide materials and fuel needed to make military vehicles, planes, and weapons. By damaging them, Ukraine is making it harder for Russia to keep producing war supplies. In the long run, these attacks are not just affecting how well Russia can fight right now. They're also creating bigger problems for Russia's ability to keep supplying its military and paying for the war in the future. The effects of Ukraine's attacks are being felt all over Russia's military and economy. Russia's oil refineries and gas plants have been damaged or shut down, causing fuel shortages and higher prices. This has forced Russia to spend money on fixing these places instead of on the war. Ukraine's air attacks are also about changing how people see the war. By attacking deep inside Russia, Ukraine is challenging what the Russian government is saying and making ordinary Russians face the reality of the war. For years, the Russian government tried to keep Russians from feeling the effects of the war, but Ukraine's attacks on energy facilities have shown that Russian cities and industries are not safe. These attacks have made many Russians worried and question if their government can protect them. This growing worry is making fewer people support the war and putting pressure on the Russian government to do something. Russian officials have tried to say the attacks aren't a big deal, but the damage is clear. Videos of burning oil refineries and scared local people are all over social media. The war between Ukraine and Russia isn't just about weapons and land, it's also a battle of minds. Ukraine has been using mind games effectively to change how the world sees the war, weaken Russian soldiers' spirits, and show the flaws in the Russian government. Through a mix of smart attacks, secret operations, and clever use of media, Ukraine has expanded the war beyond just fighting on the battlefield. Ukraine's strategy is changing the conflict in important ways. It shows that Ukraine can attack deep inside Russia, which many people thought was impossible. This is challenging the idea that Russia can't be beaten in this war. These efforts to reshape perceptions and boost morale are not only strategic on the psychological front, but also essential to Ukraine's broader approach of weakening Russia's war machine from within. By carrying out these attacks, Ukraine is trying to show that it's not just defending itself, but also capable of taking the fight to Russian soil. This can boost morale among Ukrainians and their supporters, while potentially causing concern among Russian citizens and the Kremlin. Overall, these actions by Ukraine are designed to have both a physical impact on Russia's war effort and a psychological impact on how the conflict is perceived. They're part of a strategy to challenge Russia's image of strength and control in the war. One of Ukraine's most powerful tools in this psychological warfare is how it uses media. Videos from drones showing attacks, pictures from satellites, and carefully planned messages show how well Ukrainian operations are working. These images, which are shared a lot on social media and news websites, have two main goals. First, they make Ukrainians and their international friends feel more confident about Ukraine's strength. Second, they make Russian citizens feel less safe inside their own country. By showing successful attacks, these images weaken the Russian government's claim that their army is superior. They also show Ukraine's allies that the military help they're giving is making a difference. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has openly acknowledged the significance of this strategy. In an address made earlier this year, he credited Ukraine's long-range drone and missile developers, stating, "Everyone can see their effectiveness. Our weapons are bringing the war back to Russia and reducing Russia's military potential." Targeting Russian energy infrastructure serves a dual purpose, disrupting military logistics and undermining economic stability. Ukrainian drones have struck key facilities, including the Astrakhan gas processing plant and Albashneft oil depot. This has greatly disrupted fuel production. Without a steady supply of fuel, Russia's military operations become increasingly difficult to sustain. Beyond the immediate logistical impact, these attacks also cut into Russia's oil revenues, a crucial source of funding for its war effort. As fires happen at oil refineries and processing plants, Russia has to stop producing oil and gas in these places. This forces Russia to use its resources to fix the damage. This stretches Russia's military and economic abilities even further. These attacks create problems in getting fuel to where it needs to go. Ukraine has also adopted a targeted approach toward military leadership, successfully eliminating high-ranking Russian and North Korean officers involved in the war. A notable example was a Ukrainian strike on a Russian command post in Kursk Oblast, which resulted in the deaths of several key officers. This operation not only disrupted Russian command structures, but also demonstrated Ukraine's intelligence gathering capabilities and precision strike capabilities. Following these targeted strikes on high-ranking officials, Ukraine's operations aim to create more confusion within Russia's military by weakening its leadership and making Russian commanders feel vulnerable. Killing army commanders also creates confusion among Russian soldiers, slows down decision-making, and warns others that they are not safe from Ukraine's reach. These actions show that Russia's military commanders can be targeted, no matter where they are. Ukraine has expanded its war strategy beyond normal battlefield fighting. They are now carrying out secret operations deep inside Russian territory. These operations include planned killings that shake up Russian leadership and show weak spots in the Kremlin's security. These actions make it harder for Russia to plan and carry out military operations. They also make Russian leaders feel unsafe and worried about their own safety. This can affect how they make decisions and lead their forces. In doing so, Ukraine is trying to weaken Russia's ability to fight effectively. They want to create uncertainty and fear among Russian army leaders, which can impact the overall war effort. A major event was the assassination of General Igor Kirillov. He was a top Russian army official. Kirillov played a key role in Russia's nuclear, biological, and chemical defense forces. Kirillov and his assistant, Ilya Polikarpov, were killed in a bomb explosion in Moscow. The attack showed that Ukraine can carry out precise operations in the heart of Russia. Another event was the killing of pro-Russian leader Armen Sarkisyan in a Moscow apartment blast. This showed Ukraine's reach. These operations have had a powerful impact, causing Russian officials to live in constant fear of being targeted. Ukraine's campaign has also expanded beyond Moscow. The assassination of Captain Valery Trankovsky in Sevastopol exemplifies this strategy. Trankovsky was responsible for missile launches from annexed Crimea, including an attack that killed 29 Ukrainian civilians. His targeted killing demonstrates Ukraine's commitment to holding Russian military officials accountable. Another high-profile assassination was that of Sergei Evzyukov in Donetsk. Evzyukov, a prison official linked to the Olenivka attack that killed 53 Ukrainian prisoners, was eliminated in a precise operation. This action reinforces Ukraine's message that those responsible for war crimes will face consequences no matter where they are located. Beyond the battlefield, Ukraine's psychological warfare is playing a crucial role in weakening Russia's will to fight. By proving that no place in Russia is safe, Ukraine is increasing internal dissent within Russian society. The Kremlin is struggling to maintain its narrative as citizens witness explosions in their cities and the deaths of high-ranking officials. For Ukraine's allies, these operations demonstrate resilience and strategic competence. The success of long-range drone strikes, precision hits, and infrastructure attacks gives Western nations confidence. They see that their military aid is being used effectively. It also pressures Russia's allies, such as North Korea and Iran, to reconsider their support, knowing that their officers and personnel could also be targeted. The war between Ukraine and Russia has transformed into a high-stakes battle of strategy, innovation, and unwavering resolve. Ukraine has refused to be merely reactive. It has become the hunter. Ukraine's military operations are changing the battlefield. They are using a mix of new technologies and smart strategies to be effective in battle. Here's how they're doing it. First, Ukraine is using advanced drones for warfare. Second, they are making very accurate attacks on specific targets. This is called precision strikes. Third, they have highly trained soldiers called Special Operations Forces who can do difficult missions. By using these three together, Ukraine is proving it can cause a lot of damage to its enemy. Even though Russia has more soldiers and weapons, Ukraine is using its smarts to fight back. Instead of fighting head-on in big battles, Ukraine is carefully choosing where and how to attack. Building on Ukraine's strategy, drones are now a key tool in changing the battlefield, improving precision strikes and intelligence gathering. They enable Ukraine to shorten the kill chain by detecting, targeting, and eliminating threats in real time. In December of 2024, Major Robert Magyar Brovdy announced that Ukraine's strike drone regiment would be expanded into a full-fledged uncrewed systems brigade. This shift highlights how drones have evolved from a supplementary tool to a core pillar of Ukraine's combat doctrine. Ukraine's ability to innovate in real time has been a game changer. With traditional ammunition shortages in late 2023 and early 2024, Ukraine turned to mass deployment of first-person view drones, decimating Russian advances. In 2024, more than 1 million drones were used. This was due to support from the state and help from private volunteers. Government platforms, such as Brave One, have sped up defense tech advances. They now produce interceptor drones that can target and take down Russian reconnaissance aircraft. These advancements have severely hampered Russia's precision strike capabilities, turning the tables in Ukraine's favor. Ukraine's military strength is greatly helped by strong Western support, which has been very important in fighting against Russia's attacks. At a big meeting in Washington in 2024, NATO promised to keep supporting Ukraine's defense for a long time. They're doing this through a program called NATO Security Assistance and Training for Ukraine. This program is set up to keep giving Ukraine military help, information about what's happening, and support with things like supplies and transportation. All of this helps Ukraine keep fighting effectively and continue its military operations. Many countries are helping Ukraine in its conflict with Russia. These countries include the United States, Germany, the United Kingdom, Denmark, and the Netherlands. Together, they have given Ukraine over $100 billion worth of military aid. What does this military aid include? It provides Ukraine with modern defense systems. These systems are designed to protect Ukrainian cities and important buildings. They help defend against constant attacks from Russia, which uses missiles and drones to strike Ukraine. Some examples of these defense systems are Patriot launchers, Iris-T SLM missiles that can shoot down aircraft, and Gepard tanks that can shoot at things in the air. Ukraine has also received missiles that can travel very far and hit targets accurately. These include missiles called AIM-9L Sidewinder and Sea Sparrow. These missiles help Ukraine attack areas that Russia has taken over, even if they're far away. Friendly countries are helping Ukraine by providing rocket launchers. These launchers can fire many rockets at once. They also sent modern tanks and advanced drones for targeting attacks. All of this equipment makes Ukraine much better at both attacking and defending itself. The ability to strike inside Russia has also altered the geopolitical narrative. Moscow hasn't responded strongly to these Ukrainian airstrikes, so Western nations feel bolder and are giving more advanced weapons. Ukraine is systematically dismantling Russia's ability to sustain its war effort. Strikes on oil refineries, gas plants, and supply convoys cause big logistical issues. The effects of the war are becoming clear. Russian soldiers are having a hard time because they are running out of supplies. This is making it difficult for them to keep fighting for long periods. Meanwhile, Ukraine is getting better at using technology and smart battle plans. As a result, Russia is being forced to defend instead of attack. Ukraine has been smart about attacking Russia's supply lines. This has made it harder for Russia to use one of its biggest advantages, firing lots of artillery at once. Now, Russia can't rely on this tactic as much as before. We can see the results of these changes. Russia is finding it harder and harder to keep up strong attacks for a long time. Their ability to fight aggressively is getting worse quickly. Looking ahead, Ukraine's innovative approach is likely to shape the future of warfare. Advanced technology-driven defense systems, drones, and new ways to gather information about enemies will make Ukraine's military stronger. As Ukraine builds up its own ability to make weapons, it will rely less on other countries for high-tech military equipment. Countries that support Ukraine continue to stand by it. A promise called the Pledge of Long-Term Security Assistance guarantees at least 40 billion euros in military help over the next year. This means Ukraine's fight is not just about protecting its borders. It's also about changing which countries have the most power in Europe for a long time to come.